Rise, the 100% picked and banned champion, well, mostly banned here in the LPL, is going to be banned out by Game Talents on the red side.
And of course, everything about Rise just got stronger. Roa was changed, so it got stronger. Tier was changed, so it got stronger. So Rise in general is just a little bit.
So he got stronger.
Yeah, he's just a little bit too fine-tuned.
He's been a very dominant champion. Every single time Rise gets a rework, everyone is in uproar about how he's not as great anymore. And then 2 weeks later, suddenly he's the most overpowered champion in the game.
I do like the priority of Fizz, though, being banned away. I think Fizz is in a really healthy spot. The fact that he can still technically be used as a flex pick, although I definitely think he's a bit stronger in the top lane, personally.
Yeah, I'm actually going to see a Rek'Sai ban coming out here from Nidalee. Another jungle ban came out from Game Talents as well as a third, as Nidalee and Kindred have been taken off the table. So not many big junglers left open.
Yeah, we said that this was going to be a very jungle-focused game. Again, priority on Swift to compensate for Newbee's kind of lackluster lane phase. Make sure that he can get that powerhouse like Dade into that 5v5, 3v3 arena. Whereas Wusheng, it's priority on him not necessarily to snowball his lanes, although that will always be an advantage, but to just shut down Swift and let his laners get those isolated priority matchups.
Well, we have to see what Newbee decides to pick up as their first pick here. Because, honestly, only really Graves left open, but they're hovering over Swain at the moment.
So they've used Swain before, and we've seen mixed success of Swain in the LPL. My only concern is that Swain is really dependent on the other lanes winning underneath him, and the reason why is for Swain to be effective in lane, he has to be pushed forward, because he punishes really well underneath tower. He's one of the few champions that actually has 2 damage over time abilities on his kit, so what he wants to do is get you underneath his tower, set down his laser bird, and then hit you with the torment and walk away. And it means that you'll miss creeps because you just have to leave the area of control that he has there. But again, if he's pushed forward, that opens him up to ganks, which means your laners need to look delicious instead.
Well, if you want to watch an obnoxious Swain game, there was one that took place in the LPL last night where we just saw an unkillable Swain run at people. That was played by Athena on IMA, as we are going to see Azir and Lucian picked up for Game Talents.
I want to highlight the Lucian pick. Obviously, he's big, high priority globally, but particularly for Newbee. Again, they like to compensate for kind of their lackluster lane phase, especially in Happy and Moore's case. Out of their 6 games, Newbee have played Lucian 4 times. And Bard 4 times as well. So kind of the 2 champions that are really responsible for having a very potent and powerful level 1 and 2v2. Because again, we know that they're not the greatest laners, so they need to take the most powerful champions to do it.
Newbee are going to prioritize their bottom lane as their next pick rotation. Bard and Ezreal are going to be picked up here. Bard we normally see picked up first rotation on the red side. This time, blue side going to grab that champion. And Ezreal is another one of those very highly contested AD carry picks.
And Happy is also one of the only other players in the LPL that Spawn allows players to play. Happy is, of course, a phenomenal Ezreal player. And again, we talked about how Newbee are very dependent on making sure that they have either Bard or Lucian to compensate for their lackluster 2v2. Well, guess what? We see that Lucian's been taken. We can't allow them to get Lucian and Bard, so we're going to take Ezreal and Bard. It's still a very strong bot lane despite not having Lucian, especially at level 1. The Meep power and the Mystic shot power are phenomenal.
Still waiting for Game Talents to pick their next 3 picks, but Ruskun, you mentioned Game Talents, a good way for them to achieve victory in their style of play. You know, pick that control mage mid lane, pick aggressive side lanes here, and so far they've got 2 of those things, with the Azir being at the control mage mid, Lucian being the AD carry, and now Graves and Maokai picks up.
Already we see that there's a lot of kill threat and pressure in the top lane. So Maokai and Graves. Obviously Maokai goes in for the Twisted Advance. It allows these really carry-oriented junglers like Kindred, Nidalee, and Graves to get a free skill shot. This also should funnel Swift into either Gragas or Elise. I would pick Elise because I think it's very important that Swift prioritize. Oh, never mind. I totally forgot the other one, which is Lee Sin. A heavy ganking jungler is where I'm going with this. Because right now, Game Talents have thrown the gauntlet. They're saying, we're going to make sure that this Swain dies early and dies a lot before he gets going. Because if they isolate a Swain-Maokai matchup, Maokai will just fall further and further and further behind Swain.
We saw quite a few Swains being thrown into the mid lane over the past week as well. We'll have to see if that's going to be taking place here. But no, it is a Victor locked in for the side of Newbee, as well as that Lee Sin in the jungle going to be picked up by Swift. So now only waiting for Game Talents to pick up their final pick, and it should be a support.
But this is fine. Moving away from the LeBlanc, giving over to a Victor, you're just effectively going to neutralize the lane, and it's pretty much Newbee saying, okay, we see that we're going to prioritize the top lane here because the Swain wants to get ahead, and you also want to put the Swain behind. So instead of also picking up a mid laner who needs snowball assistance like LeBlanc, we're just going to neutralize it. Taken into a Victor, Lee Sin says, I'm going top all the way.
Well, let's see if Swift's going to be able to help V out in the top lane as we go into this match, but Game Talent's taking their time here. They've only left a support to pick up, but take away no support ban, so the world is Savoki's oyster at the moment.
He should be locked into the Karma. We could see something strange just because it is Savoki, but the idea is that anytime Bard comes out, it's really punishing against the likes of Alistar or Braum because it's effectively a ranged support versus a melee support. So I expect Savoki to stay with Karma here as he does go ahead and lock that one in, simply because, again, it's about that dominance of the 2v2. Game Talents, they want to start snowballing Wushang ahead, and they want to just passively win the bottom lane through Lucian and Karma, and then neutralize the mid lane with a control mage.
On top of that, Karma can be able to speed up the entire team for these team fights if Game Talents want to get involved in those skirmishes with Newbee. And the rosters have been finalized and are locked in here. Swain, Lee Sin, Victor, Ezreal, Bard up against the Maokai, Graves, Azir, Lucian, Karma. So pretty solid pick and ban phase coming up from Newbee and Game Talents.
Yeah, and a lot of comfort picks for everyone. We've seen V take the Swain before, so it's not completely out of left field from here, and it's always such a joy to get Swift pick up his Lee Sin.
We'll have to see how Swift is going to perform in this matchup as we take a look at the rosters one more time here. And, you know, this is going to be interesting. This is the first time we've really seen a lot of junglers being banned out here to the point where we see lower priority picks like the Lee Sin come out.
Yeah, and again, just to underline that again, we talked about how this is going to be about the junglers. Swift versus Wushang, old guard versus new.
Well, let's see if that's going to be taking place here as we head into Summoner Swift for Game 1 between Game Talents and Newbee. And unfortunately, it seems like we're having a couple of technical difficulties here between Newbee and Game Talents. Hopefully, we'll be able to get those solved as soon as possible.
But we can go ahead and we can start talking about what these compositions mean and what the win conditions of either of these comps are. So we talked a lot about the Swain pick and Champion Select, and I want to go back to that because I do think that's kind of one of the most important things here is Game Talents. They want to win in the lane phase. They have really strong laners. It's kind of win lane, win game. Newbee, not the strongest laners, although they're not going to just blow over, but it's more about that 5v5. So, of course, they draft kind of this 5v5 composition. You've got the Ezreal, you have the Bard that's trying to compensate for losing the Lucian in a second rotation, so you still have a relatively strong bot lane, but Happy and More, we'll see if they're actually able to take on PentaQ and Savoki.
Well, let's... One on the flip side, what are we looking at as well?
We're looking at, again, at the top lane. It's going to be Lee Sin versus Graves, the race to the top lane, who's going to get the successful gank off. If Swain will be able to snowball to where he's just unkillable because he gets to this point where he continuously pushes you under, Maokai will just fall further and further into a hole, and any resources sent top to gank Swain, eventually he'll become so tanky that even on an elongated lane like top, he'll just safely walk back to his tower in bird form and lose virtually no health. On the other side, though, it's then up to Game Talents' bot lane. So if Graves and Maokai are focused on the top side, Lucian and Karma, they need to make sure that they can put this Ezreal and this Bard down once we're out of the level 1 power spike of those champions.
Well, we have loaded onto Summoner's Rift for game number 1 between Newbee and Game Talents. It seems like we've been able to get those technical difficulties solved. We have to see what these two teams decide to do right off the bat to start the game. For now, both the AD carries and support moving towards the bottom lane, so no signs of a lane swap just yet from either of these two teams.
Yeah, I expect we'll actually see standard lanes. We've talked about this kind of at length, that Lucian and Karma want to take advantage of their power, but level 1.
Savoki going to take a lot of damage here already. Happy and more ZB just going to be able to chase away PentaQ as well.
And this is actually just a blunder from Game Talents. Bard has one of the strongest level 1s in the game just because of his Meep Slap. And then likewise, Ezreal with his Mystic Shot and his just basic auto attacks. A lot of people, again, recognize Ezreal for being weak in lane phase, but it's only really after his first purchase of trading battle stats for tier that he actually lives up to that expectation.
He's got a pretty big support of Moore backing him up with the Bard. We actually see Happy and Moore trying to see if they can contest for the buff at level 1, or the Grump, I should say.
Yeah, they're actually just here to steal the smaller Sentinels and take that experience advantage in, and then likewise make sure that they stop PentaQ and Savoki from challenging Gromp. So again, making use of Bard's level 1 power spike and denying any sort of advantage that Lucian and Karma could get into the lane.
That also means that we are going to see standard lanes come out from these two teams. Ezreal and Bard will head into the bottom lane to face off against the Lucian and Karma. We will get to see the Swain and Maokai battle it out in the top lane.
What is important that both junglers started top side of the map, so we'll see how they complete their jungle rotations and watch their pathing closely. Again, I predict and have a feeling that it's going to be about this race towards the top lane to try to sway advantage one way or the other. At least I would hope so for the Maokai, because at that point it's just a waiting game before Swain starts to take over.
Well, let's see if we see Swift or Wushang make their way up to the top lane. So we take a look at the fan vote really quickly. A lot of people behind Newbee here up against Game Talents, despite the undefeated streak that Game Talents have had so far. Lots of support coming in for the so-called veterans in the LPL for now.
Yeah, always important to take in the context of how Game Talents got to be tied for first place in the LPL, taking down Saint as well as Snake, the bottom tier teams right now, versus Newbee facing across from Edward Gaming and Invictus Gaming, two veteran teams.
Well, we are going to see Lee Sin work on taking down his red buff. Wu Shuang actually going for a little bit of an invade here. Will find Swift, gets a little bit of damage down, puts down the shotgun shells. Just going to get some chip on towards the jungler.
Fog of War advantage, though, means that he wins out that trade, and having PentaQ and Savoki available.
Although taking so much damage, has to flash away. Wu Shuang flashes forward, gets first blood. Relatively easy there for Game Talents.
Beautifully executed. Again, they prioritize having that Lucian, picking it up in second rotation, making sure that they would put Happy and Moore back by their tower and opening up space for Wushang to challenge Swift. We said Wushang, emphasis isn't on ganking his lanes and snowballing, emphasis is on making sure that Swift can't.
We can already see how that's impacting the lanes so far. Swain, doing well up at the top lane. We expect that against the Maokai. Mid lane, two control mages. Nothing much going to take place, but already PentaQ and Savoki making sure they can push this one as far as they possibly can in the bottom lane, create a CS deficit against Happy. Meanwhile, up at the top lane, Gimgoon teleported back to lane, trying to trade as aggressively as possible against V here. Gets some decent damage down onto the Swain.
Yep, has the item advantage here by having the double Doran, so making the use of his TP to go aggressive. I like the cute maneuver of using Twisted Advance to exit out of the Laserbird Q range and look for that trade. Again, bad news bears, though, for Newbee. If they fall behind on the bottom lane, it could tie Swift up by making sure that Happy and Moore stay safe, as opposed to prioritizing V getting ahead.
We can take a look at the mid lane. Republic is doing some work onto Dade at the moment. Both of them quite low on mana, but Dade doesn't have the health bar at the moment. Skimgoon is going to be finding a Swain, teleporting back up into the top lane. But still, this lane looks pretty much in favor of Republic at the moment, despite the fact that he's out of mana.
This is to be expected, though, as your early lane phase can push much more successfully than Victor. He needs more points in his abilities, as well as an upgraded Hex Core, before he has the same amount of wave clear that Azir will bring.
And Azir's actually packing teleport to this game. We don't normally see that from Azir's in the mid lane, in contrast to the Ghost that we see from Victor. So
I actually think, instead of meaning that Republic's going to be assisting side lanes, which we usually see TP meaning on the mid laner, that it's actually just about neutralizing Dade even further, making sure that you can get that initial back in if you want to burn a very early teleport. It's kind of something that Rookie and Wayless like to do in the LPL, where they get their first initial wave, they push it very quickly, and then cheat in a back to get an item advantage.
Well, we are going to see the backs coming in from a lot of the players on the side of Game Talents and Newbee. You can always see the Stinger being picked up from the Azir. Hex Core upgraded slightly for the Victor. We're taking a look at the bottom lane now as well. Happy, he's gone back and picked up his tier to the double long swords coming out from PentaQ at the moment.
And so aggressive from Savoki right there, putting on the shield, rushing forward and throwing out the Q to trade against the Mystic Shot of Happy, starting to open up a CS discrepancy 44 to 38 between these 80 carries.
It's just not going to get any better for Happy at the moment. Let's see if we can pick up some of this CS underneath the turret. There's more ZB trying to duke it out with Karma inside of Fog of War. Takes a little bit of damage in return. Wu Shuang, though, he's been pretty aggressive towards the bottom side of this map, constantly invading.
And what that's doing is it's punishing his Maokai. We talked about this. Swain's going to continuously push up forward and deny a lot of that CS. And speaking of discrepancies, between the AD carries, that's pretty much completely compensated for on the top part of the map. That's 49 to 28, and Swain is only going to get stronger. Maokai, he doesn't neutralize lanes, he just survives them. He won't be killed, but a well-farmed Swain becomes unkillable.
Certainly does. And we've seen this matchup time and time again in the LPL. It never looks good for the tree. Not at any point in the game. Right now, though, Swain is pushing up aggressively.
The power of Maokai is that he allows a high-kill jungler like Kindred, like Nidalee, like Graves to get those free skill shots when used with Twisted Advance. I feel like game talents, they have a window of opportunity, and it's closing very quickly on kill pressure for the Swain.
Well, Wushuang is looking to try and get a gank up into the top lane. Is spotted up by a ward, but Gimgoon already trying to put down some pressure onto V. He's trying to run away as fast as possible, healing up quite a bit with that ultimate. They can't lock him down any forward, as Swift, like you mentioned, is coming up there. V is going to be able to get away there. Escapes with just a sliver of health. Forces his flash, though. So they do get the summoner spell for that.
We talked about that small window, though, so we'll see if Wushuang is diligent and re-ganks that to try to punish V. But like I said, an elongated lane, that bird form just walks safely and casually back to tower.
Swift now might actually be able to find Gimgoon. Tries to cheat a back inside of the bush, and Swift will be able to take him down.
Really well played by Swift, but meanwhile his bottom lane is suffering. So again, pressure still an advantage for game talents, but Newbee winning the top side of the map quite hard.
They still even out the kill score 1-1, but Game Talent still have a 1,000 gold lead over Newbee at the moment, and they're really showing how well their laning phase is up against the team. Even in the mid lane, the two control mage facing off, there's already a CS discrepancy.
My problem with prioritizing the bottom side of the lane is that you're very dependent on dragon spawns then, and that RNG working in favor for you. Right now, the dragon spawn is going to go ahead and be that Cloud Drake, which isn't often recognized for its high priority in League of Legends right now. And frankly, AD carries just don't have the same impact in this current meta as they once did. It's much more about these top laners, these mid laners, and these junglers. So I feel like even though this is where game talents are winning, it's much harder to translate this into a victory.
Swift trying to take away his Raptor camps. Republic not going to let that happen with any ease. It's able to take away some of the small camps. They're still in the bottom lane. More ZB taking so much damage from Pentakill and Savoki. They are not relenting with this pressure at the moment.
Yeah, at this point, Game Talent's win condition has shifted to the Maokai lane has to be sacked, all in on this bot side, start taking down this tower and contesting this area of jungle, and open up Lucian and Karma to start rotating into the mid lane, sieging towers and trying to snowball a structure advantage.
You see Wushuang once again making his way towards that bottom side of the map, trying to be a pest against Swift and knock him out of his own jungle. He's only able to steal two of these small lizards away from the red buff.
But it doesn't matter, though, because Pentakill and Savoki are continuously getting good chip damage. And again, get this tower down as quickly as possible, translate it into a free dragon, and then make the most of Republic having teleport on Azir, and start running your duo in the mid lane and Azir in a side lane.
Well, let's see if Pentakill and Savoki were going to be able to take down this tower anytime soon. More ZB was able to get us back in, while Happy stayed in lane. He's incredibly low on both health and mana as we check in with the top lane here. V being a very obnoxious top lane at the moment, constantly putting some pressure on towards the Maokai. But Wushuang looking for a gank here onto Dade. He's just going to be able to get some damage down. Pops the ultimate as well.
Yeah, just try to get Dade to go back. I'm assuming they want control over the Dragon Pit. Although pings are going down onto the blue buff, but Wushuang's like, nope, Raptor camp.
More important for him at the moment. You know, doesn't need to help Republic out if he doesn't want to.
But no, they have complete control. Again, it's just the fact that it's really a Cloud Drake. Still respecting Dade a little bit by having that Chaos Storm available, so if they had been able to force him out of the lane, I'm sure that Game Talents would have immediately pulled the trigger on taking the free objective.
Was able to heal up quite nicely, though, with the refillable potion that he's picked up. But for now, relatively quiet between these two teams. Game Talent still trying to force this bottom side of the map and being really aggressive down here as well.
But meanwhile, check out the top side. Swift is pinging. They know that he's there, and no one is coming to save him. Game Talent's all in on bot side, Newbee all in on top side.
Republic's going to try and get down towards this bottom lane. He's already teleported deep in towards the backline. Happy and more trying to get away. Ezreal very low on mana, has to Arcade Shiver flash forward, but Republic's going to scoop both of them backwards after they use their mobility spells, and Game Talents pick up 2 kills down at the bottom lane.
This surely will also mean the tower for them as well as the dragon. Dade will get chip damage on the top side, but more importantly, Swift backed off. Newbee have zero response play other than Dade picking up a free wave of farm.
And on top of that, Game Talents are going to be able to take down the bottom lane outer turret. And they could have gone for that dragon instead. Like you mentioned, it's just a cloud dragon. Not going to opt to take that one down.
I think it's because they don't have vision of Swift. They want to make sure that their Maokai isn't about to get dove. So the response is, yes, it's just cloud dragon. Instead, let's rush top. And if Newbee overextend here, we can punish them because, surprise, duo lanes top side.
And we saw Republic go back in towards the mid lane, picked up some more farm for himself. Now getting the blue buff donated on over towards him from Wushuang. He's just going to head back towards his mid lane after using his teleports to go for the gank down the bottom layer. Swift waiting over the Raptor camp. See if he can get anything onto Republic. He flashes forward. Does get the kick down. They should be able to pick him off. And a teleport cancelled as well coming from Gimgood.
Good response play from Newbee there to set up. Make sure that Dade gets something out of it. But more importantly, like you said, have that cooldown from the TP.
Now Game Talents actually, after taking down the bottom lane outer turret, have sent their AD carry and support up into the top lane, looking to try and put some pressure on towards V, or possibly take down the top lane outer turret as well.
And again, we talked about Game Talents pivoting, adjusting themselves. Okay, top lane didn't get the respect that it needed. The swing got too far out of control. Maokai can't do anything more. Unlock where we're strong, which is the bottom lane. Start rotating around the map and building up a gold advantage to compensate for the whole Maokai dug by taking global gold on towers.
This tower is going to fall quite shortly for Game Talents. Already taken down incredibly low. Lucian, pretty good at taking down these structures with his light sling. At the same time, Game Talents will be able to trade it and take down the bottom lane outer turret. Still objectives in favor of Game Talents, where it's two towers to one.
That said, a sizable wave mean that Newbee can continue to push this through. We may have a race of chicken for inner towers.
Let's see if they can do that. Maokai and Swain, both in their respective top and bottom lanes, trying to hold out the three-man push coming in from both of these teams. Graves, he's made his way up in towards the top lane, but Savoki's got other ideas. They're looking to try and lock down Dade here, puts down the gravity field, is able to get them away as PentaQ will actually get chased away by the Swain as well.
Massive mistake, though. Newbee take the game of chicken and they come out on top. Being the more veteran, the more experienced team, they keep their cool. They don't fall off the tower, and they manage to pick up an inner, so now even 2 for 2 and huge advantage of control for Newbee on bottom side.
Yep, and that was an inner tower picked up, so much more difficult for Game Talents to try and pick up one of those objectives. They still do have the gold lead. It's about 1,000 gold in their favor, but that's next to nothing against a team fighting team like Newbee.
It also creates this really long lane, which is what you see V setting up right now. For Swain to just sit and farm. We'll see if they start allocating this creep wave or this resource of gold to anyone else, or if it's just going to continuously go into this top laner. But with a wave clear mid like Victor and not a lot of tools, Newbee should be able to just pause and freeze and farm out the game from here until they're ready for their big 5v5.
Well, let's see if Newbee are going to try and do just that. Swift going to take a little bit of damage from Karma here as he clears out a couple of wards placed over the wall from Game Talents.
To break this, they would have to dive or kill Victor. Dade has to die, but there's no big primary engage underneath the tower. Yes, they do beautifully once the map is opened up and Maokai can make use of like these flanking teleport plays, but you're effectively reliant on Republic hitting a Emperor's Divide and scooping Victor out.
And that's what we saw him do in the bottom lane earlier on their first gank. Game Talents, though, looking to try and take down this turret. Lots of damage going on over towards Wushuang just to knock him away from chipping down the turret.
They can't do it, though. And again, the CS discrepancy between the top laners and their strength continues to separate. Level 9 to level 10 in favor of V, 129 to 91. And now, Happy gets to pick up this free wave that's been pushed into him. This is exactly where Newbee want to be. Game Talents had a phenomenal early game and pivoting, understanding that they couldn't save the Maokai lane, so going all in on bottom. But Newbee have completely neutralized all of that.
They'll still have to catch up from the CS deficits that were created by the AD carries and the mid lanes and the jungler as well. But like you mentioned, they should be able to just hold it out and do just that. As we check in with the items really quickly, because Swain, he's picked up his Rod of Ages. We see the Spirit Visage being picked up on the Maokai up in the top lane. Down the mid lane, Hex Core upgraded one more time here. Negatron Cloak also picked out by the Victor. We do have the Nash's Tooth coming in for the Azir here. 80 carries. Big spike for the Ezreal, looking to pick up his Iceborne Goner next after the Manamune was picked up. And on the flip side, Lucian's going to be going for the Yoma's Ghostblade Black Cleaver build.
It makes sense that he'd be looking for more of a penetration build, but it's also very important that he picks up the Grievous Wounds at some point during his itemization to deal with this Swain, simply because they have no Ignite.
Well, Wushuang being a little bit of pest one more time against Swift here. able to just poke him inside of his own jungle. As Gimgoon now going to be gifted with a nice way for him to farm if he can do it underneath his turret. Well, missing quite a few here, but he's still relatively far behind V at the moment. 45 CS down, the Maokai.
Game Talents, though, are executing on kind of step 3 of their composition. So again, making use of the fact that Republic, that Azir, does have the teleport available. Their duo lane's now been moved into the mid lane because it's the last standing outer tower for them to take. Although a little bit of a scuffle.
V actually taking a lot of damage from Wushuang and Savoki. Has to flash in towards the Dragon Pit. In fact, Dragon's going to be able to auto-attack here, but the backside, Dade takes a lot of damage from PentaQ after getting locked down by Gimgoon. Happy now. He's inside of the pit as V getting get swooped in by Republic. Game Talents find another pick for themselves. That's 2 for nothing for the lineup.
Massive error here, although Swift might be able to trade this 1 for 1 if he can get the Dragon.
Temper Fate comes out. It's only going to cause the Dragon to go into stasis. That should be able to be taken down by Game Talents, and they find the Cloud Dragon for themselves, which prompts an Infernal Drake to spawn as the next dragon.
Okay, so the major victory here isn't over the Dragon, obviously, because it is only a Cloud Drake, but the fact that Newbee broke their kind of line of defense to walk into River and a really nice catch from Game Talents. More importantly, it means that since Victor is out of position because he died, that they can break this last standing outer.
And this is going to open up the map quite nicely for Game Talents.
More importantly, it's opening up the gold disparity.
That's right. It's 3,000 gold in Game Talents' favor at the moment. Newbee, you know, they're a team from Spling Split. Up till now, we've seen them fight from behind many, many times. But a gold deficit is still something you don't want to be in this early in the game.
And it was always a question, you know, could Game Talents play the lane phase well enough that they would be able to snowball a big enough gold deficit to meet Newbee in these 5v5 matches? Newbee started to stall the game out, were doing well, got a little bit cocky, thought that they could take a skirmish that wasn't in their favor without proper vision setup. Punish, lost their tower, but now it's kind of back to, okay, everyone calm down. We're waiting on itemization for Victor. We're waiting on itemization for Ezreal. Just go back to farming. Our Swain's huge. Wait for him.
And they're still waiting for those items to come out. In fact, V working on picking up his Zhonya's hourglass when possible. Already has that Seeker's arm guard. In the mid lane, nothing's changed for Dade at the moment. Still sitting on components. We do see Dade actually getting knocked back here. Republic going to be able to take him down with the help of Wushuang and the ultimates. For another pick going on over towards Game Talents.
Yeah, Game Talents being so proactive. Oh, Swift.
He's going to jump in there. I don't think that was the right decision coming from Lee Sin. He just hit the Q and decided he needs to take the ride.
And sometimes Swift just takes these coin flips right there. Way too aggressive, trades his life, and this is going to be another mid-tower going down in favor of Game Talents. Newbee, 2 massive mistakes in a row, cost them huge. This game is starting to speed up outside their control.
Suddenly a huge momentum swing coming in for Game Talents. So we're looking to try and put some damage down towards those inhibitor turrets, but instead they have their eyes set towards the top lane in a turret. Gimgoon trying to get away, pushing their Republic's already up there with the Karma and the Lucian. Who's popped that Yoma's Ghostblade, looking to try and poke it down wherever they can. Get it to about half health and relatively happy with that.
Siege comp in full engage mode from Game Talents right there. Again, they pivoted so nicely from the initial plan with the Maokai and the Graves pick into completely controlling that bot side, punishing Happy and Moore's inability to lane, making PentaQ shine.
And you know, just looking at the moment, Gimgoon, he's got his Spirit Passage and a Balmy Cinder, so even though he's 50 CS behind the Swain, that Global Gold helping out so much, and the rest of the map just looks so great. Abyssal Scepter picked up on the Azir as well. Black Cleaver almost done for Lucian.
And naturally, the big thing about Maokai is that he doesn't need a lot of resources to shine just because his ultimate is percentile based. So it's not going to be super punishing that you have a low econ or underfed Maokai versus other champions. It's now, okay, so much went into this Swain pick. We sacked the bottom side of the map to make sure that the top side could get ahead. V, where are you?
Nowhere to be found at the moment. The Swain is 0-1 and 0. We've seen quite a few obnoxious things from Swain in a lot of games. It usually takes place through the later parts of the game.
Well, the thing is at some point, Swain just becomes so unkillable that he constantly pushes forward and he demands teams to respond to him in multiple members, and then his team is able to take things underneath the map. And then in really late game team fights, he just becomes this unkillable, annoying front line. Unfortunately, we're still about 7 to 15 minutes out from that point. So again, Newbee just need to hold on and stop the bleeding.
Somewhat of a saving grace from Newbee at the moment. Is Happy. He's picked up one of his core power spikes, the Iceborne Gauntlet, and the Onions Boost of Lucidity have been picked up. So now trying to stack as fast as possible towards the mana, Mirror Mana. So we'll be able to be happy with just slowing down the rest of Game Talents at the moment, but it does look like Newbee have fallen back into just farming it up wherever they can. As you can see, they've moved V from the top lane down into the bottom lane, trying to deal with the split push that's actually coming in from Republic.
Yeah, the most important thing for Newbee to do right now is to make sure that they have the proper lane assignments across for them. So making sure that Happy isn't facing across from the Azir, because Azir would have kill pressure on him. Making sure that it's just the Swain and you're effectively just trading gold. And we're waiting on this dragon. Although Game Talent's actually moving over into the Baron and trying to speed up this game even farther. But the next Drake is the Infernal Drake, so that's even more important for Newbee to contest.
You can see they put a lot of pink wards around that Baron pit and even sweeped out a lot of the wards that were placed down by Newbee previously. That dragon will be spawning in a minute 20 here, whereas the Baron is already up and live. So lots of objectives on the map for a 5,000 gold lead. Game Talents to try and take ahead of Newbee here.
And again, it's just Newbee saying, okay, we have a minute left to farm, effectively 30 seconds, because it takes us 30 seconds to walk towards this pit. Are we going to give this away, or is this going to be our big 5v5 moment? Because we have the 5v5 comp, we have the Ezreal that's online. Do we pull the trigger now, or are we going to give this one away, buy ourselves another 6 minutes, but Game Talents could possibly look for the Baron?
Well, a big thing for them is V was able to pick up the Sonya's Hourglass, so another big spike for the Swain coming out. He's got his boots of swiftness as well. It's going to be moving on the map quite nicely.
A lot of pink wards being picked up from Newbee, pretty much entirely across their items, which tells me that they are going to be contesting for this dragon. So we're about to have another big 5v5.
It's being matched by the son of Game Talents as well. We see lots of pink wards in the lineup. A very big item pickup for Game Talents as well. The Black Cleaver and the Mortal Reminder being picked up by Wu Shuang here. So they are going to be able to deny the regeneration coming up from V.
Super important, like you said, making sure that the Grievous Wounds is available to them, stall out his healing. There is also the option that Newbee could look to trade Tower for Dragon. Both teleports are available, but naturally Swain will get the better of this eventually.
So items have been picked up by these two teams. They're all going back to base and try and bow it here and there. As Maw actually going to take a chunk of damage to the face from Wu Shuang. Dragon is now live. It is that Infernal Dragon. Swift, he's put down a ward over the wall, trying to get some vision on towards this pit, see if he can steal it away. But Game Talents, they want to try and take this.
Swift's connected in.
He's going in, but he's not going to be able to take it down. Wu Shuang is able to secure the smite on top of that Lee Sin. He's going to get altered on, though, by the Victor, and Lee Sin will somehow be able to get out of there alive.
So because Moore took so much damage and it meant that there was a member down for Newbee, they decide not to go for the full 5v5. Instead, best case scenario, Swift look for the steal, but again, a very nice secure from Wu Shuang. No surprise though, level 13 to level 11. Graves has been so much farther ahead.
Now Game Talents, they have a 5,000 gold lead. 24 minutes into the game with a Cloud Dragon and an Infernal Dragon. Newbee still struggling at the moment as V was looking to try and engage on towards Gingu. Does have the support of the Karma here by Wu Shuang. Going to get kicked backwards into a Tempered Fate though. That was on top of the wall. Gravity Field will lock him down and he will get taken down as Newbee. They're looking for this fight. Republic trying to jump in here. Pops the ultimate to knock them backwards. V will use the Zhonya's to try and stay alive a little bit longer. Nevermove's going to land onto Savoki. Newbee, they're finding a team fight for themselves. So looking for Gingu now. Magical Journey will get them all over the wall. And they're going to be able to try and chase down this Maokai. He's going over towards the Gromp pit and the Krug pit and will be able to get out there.
Where Swift failed in the early game, he just made up for it in the mid game right there. Beautiful catch out. All it takes is one insect kick and they're able to capitalize onto it into a Baron. Remember, this Swain is incredibly tanky.
But those are very low health bars on the side of Newbee. PentaQ doing what he can to stop them from trying to take down this objective, and he's able to successfully stop them from doing that.
But Newbee looking so much more confident, and check out the damage.
Gimgoon doesn't care. We talk about Maokai being a big tank that soaks up damage. He just doesn't care. He did more damage than anybody in that team fight.
A big issue, though, is the fact that PentaQ is barely doing any damage in these team fights comparatively to Ezreal across the board, and more importantly, Maokai on his own team.
On top of that, Wu Shuang getting caught out did nothing in that team fight. Sorry, not Maokai. Graves getting caught out in that team fight did nothing at all. Kicked into the Temper Fate, gets locked down by the Gravity Field afterwards. Not great for the side of Game Talents. They still maintain a gold lead, but it's getting smaller and smaller. Only 4,000 ahead against Newbee now.
And again, it just comes down to this 5v5 comp. This is where Newbee are comfortable. This is where their comp wants to fight around. Vision is going to be so critical to them, obviously because they have an Ezreal, because they have a Victor. Controlling pockets of true vision, making sure that they're laying down this poke with the lasers, with the Mystic shots before the big 5v5s is important. Finding that pick potential with the Lee Sin hero plays that Swift was able to demonstrate.
Now though, it does look like both these teams want to try and go back into their farm mode. You can see items being bought by a lot of them players now. Does look like he's looking for his Spirit Visage. That's really where Swain starts to become a little bit more annoying. He's going to be able to heal up so much more with his ultimate.
That's a very light word for it, annoying. Should be noted, though, all of the priority on the top side of the map. Again, that's a very easy objective for Newbee to contest right now. They've obviously realized that they're very strong in a 5v5. It's a little bit scarier to approach a tower on the top side of the map versus the Baron, just because, again, you want control over Fog of War and Vision to really utilize your comp as comfortably as you'd like. But you can see that Newbee, they want the top tower, but they're not willing to extend their hand too much, but they're starting to get more confidence. They realize that they can start to fight, and they are strong.
You can already see that from the vision control switch coming out from these two teams. One team fight going in favor of Newbee, and now they have entire control over the vision, over the Baron pit. V, going to be annoying. Try and knock Maokai out of this lane as Lucian gets tagged by the True Shot Barrage coming out from Happy, and will just decide to stay around and take down a few Krugs before he heads back to base. And more big item pickups coming from these two teams. We take a look at the mid lane as they both have their Rylai's Crystal Scepter being picked up here. Victor's still very content with just hanging on to the Negatron Cloak for now, not trying to upgrade that into Abyssal Scepter just yet.
Thought I must be sitting on some sizable chunk of gold.
Potentially. He has the upgraded Hex Core to Rylai, so he's still relatively half an item behind the Azir at the moment.
But he has a very nice mid-game power spike. The upgraded, fully complete Hex Core, not only is it good for Victor's mobility, but obviously it's a very nice power spike coming into mid-game, which is where we're about to be. So I still say he's right on clock, if not a little bit ahead of it in terms of his big damage. Or at least what he'll bring to his fight.
So far, though, Newbee are separating their members of the map once again, sending V down in towards the bottom lane. Pushing that one out for his team. Dade still hanging around the mid lane with More and Happy. But for now, both teams very content with just playing the poke game, as Dragon is going to be respawning in a minute here.
More important, though, that More doesn't get chunked out this time around, and Newbee actually get a 5v5 as opposed to a 4v5 attempted steal on this Dragon.
Game Talent showing one more time this is an objective they want to fight for, already trying to take as much control over the area as possible. In fact, Wushuang trying to move as aggressively down towards the bottom lane as he can, looking for Swain, it seems.
No, it's because they have the prepped wave here from Gimgoon, so they're trying to get very quick chip damage, and again, catch Newbee cheating through their own jungle. They want to make picks.
Well, they get some decent damage down with Republic just poking it out. Happy and Dade, very successful in clearing the way, but Happy takes a lot of damage in that trade.
Game Talent's composition is, I'm going to say, much more successful in a lane versus Newbee's composition being much more successful in a jungle. Again, using choke points versus abusing the siege potential of Lucian, Karma, and Azir. So fighting here, Newbee will lose this. They need to make something drastic, which is why you see More looking for the Tempered Fate and Swift trying to find that flanking position. Newbee, no, we can't continue to sit across him in the lane phase. We will lose. Come to the Dragon. That's where we're strong.
And the third dragon of the game has spawned here. It's going to be an Ocean Dragon, and Game Talent's immediately looking to try and take down this objective. Already starting and looking to try and pick it up as soon as possible. Swift poising aggressively to try and get into the fight here. Temper Fate will come out, locks down the dragon for a while, but nobody else from Game Talent. This dragon is low. Wushuang is able to smite it away and pick it up. V takes a little bit of damage from the Azir, but very content with just giving the objective over towards Game Talent, and they're just going to back out away from the pit as well.
Here comes the flank, though, so Newbee, they don't get the dragon, but they may get their fight.
Definitely looking for it. They're going to be able to take down this mid lane outer turret if Game Talents can't respond. Saboki looking to try and poke them down. Wushuang going aggressively in, not going to connect his ultimate on top of Happy, who pops his True Shot Barrage.
And that means that the play is completely dead for Newbee now. They tried to get their the superior position on mid lane, take the 5v5 after losing Ocean Drake, but check out their side waves, everything crashing towards them. So Game Talent's completely in the driver's seat again, which means that they now have a window of opportunity to do whatever they want. In this case, take blue buff, as well as start setting up vision around this Baron again.
They're looking to actually try and take it, it seems here. Pentakill going to dash in. Gimgoon already soaking up damage. V, he's already shown his presence down at the bottom lane. So, Game Talents know they can take this one. In fact, Newbee not trying to contest it anytime soon. No Temper Fate to stop or delay this either. Game Talents will be able to take an objective. Teleport is coming in, though. Going to look to see if they can contest
just
them
disengage.
After it. They're looking to try and disengage. Voki takes a lot of damage. Dade is going to get locked down by Gimgoon. Happy trying to slow down the tank, but he just flashes away. Game Talents know exactly what they do, which is take the objective and get the heck out of there.
And this isn't what we expect from the likes of a Frankenstein team of EPA and Masters 3. You expect them to make mistakes in these late game decisions, but they have the Baron, and instead of baiting into Newbee's 5v5 comp, we got the free objective. Just disengage, just run away.
And it's given them the same gold lead they started with previously. They're about 5,000 gold ahead of Newbee down there, controlling most of this map. Both the bottom lane and top lane inner turrets have almost been taken down by Game Talents.
So check in on their win conditions. With Game Talent's composition, yes, they have a lot of power in a 5v5 simply because they have Azir, they have Maokai, they can look for these big flanking plays, they can neutralize a lot of Victor's damage if Gimgoon's positioned appropriately, but this comp is so much stronger in sieging. And with the Baron buff, that's exactly what they want to do. Again, they want to fight in the lane phase. Newbee know that if they're standing front to back, line of scrimmage, that they'll slowly lose against Game Talents. So pressure is on for Swift to find planks, and pressure is on for Game Talents to start sieging now.
Well, they're looking to try and do that, starting off with the bottom lane. In fact, they will have Gimgoon splitting up in the top lane with a very nice wave crashing on towards the top lane inner turret. The rest of Game Talents want to be able to try and take down this bot lane inner turret.
Watch
the
Swift.
The entire team of Newbee is going to be wrapping around this objective, trying to protect it from the 4 members of Game Talents, but that gives Gimgoon a lot of time to try and take down the top lane turrets.
I like the fact that they're choosing to go into a 4v1 simply because there's so much pressure for the Tempered Fate or for the Dragon Rage kick to come in, so they're still making sure that Gimgoon can be
They look for it. Swift actually going to get a kick onto Republic. He goes very aggressively forward. Republic still able to get out of there. Pops his ultimate, but will get taken down. Game Talents are getting obliterated here after the fight that was started by Swift. PentaQ has been tagged by the Sonic Wave, but we'll get out of there.
But it doesn't matter. Game Talents knew that that was a threat that could happen, but it means nothing for Newbee. They're not able to translate this into any objective. Yes, they'll pick up PentaQ, but they're going to lose an inhib tower, possibly more, because check out Gimgoon.
Gimgoon was able to take down that inhibitor turret and the top lane inner turret as well. So Game Talents opening up the map, opening up a nice gold lead for themselves even further. 6,000 gold ahead of Newbee at the moment.
Yes, good job to Newbee. In an ideal situation, Game Talents don't lose 4 Baron buffs and only retain 1 because of a really nice engagement from a Lee Sin. But at the same time, they understood going in that this was going to be the priority, that Newbee were going to be backed into a corner and forced to pull the trigger on an engage.
And they did just that. It was a great engage onto Republic, kicking him back into the team, forced to flash ultimate and die right afterwards. But Game Talents get what they were looking for, which is another turret taking down, this time up in the top lane, leaving that inhibitor exposed.
Still could have theoretically had more, so props definitely need to be given to Swift. That's very hard to do, to engage on the likes of a Lucian, Azir, Graves, Karma comp with a Lee Sin. So that cannot be understated. He did that as a Lee Sin.
That was really impressive, actually, that engage. You know, you got the kick on towards the cannon minion that was buffed up by the Baron and flashed right afterwards.
Lee Sin, obviously one of the few champions that you can flash in the middle of the animation, so if you start the Dragon Rage on the front of them, flash behind them, complete the animation, it'll kick them back into your team.
Pretty impressive coming in from Swift.
We expect that, though. Sorry, Swift, this is the bar that you've set. It's just so high.
It's too high, you know. You got the likes of Insect already naming a move after himself. Lee Sin has been a champion that's played in competitive play for quite some time now. But taking stock of things at the moment, despite Game Talents having a massive lead right now, Dragon will be coming up in about a minute. It will definitely be a point of contention between these two teams, because that will be the Elder Dragon actually spawning.
A reminder that this tower is a stiff breeze from going down, and there the wind blows.
The wind has blown.
So some pocket money there for Newbee.
There's still half the amount of turrets in comparison to Game Talents, 3 to 6 at the moment.
And we're still very close in this game. Again, a lot of that in the individual CS of Newbee's members. But Game Talents do get a advantageous position on this mid lane. Again, this is where they want to fight, in these lanes, in these sieging maneuvers.
There's been a very massive item pickup since that last fight as well. The previous fight, Republic did not have his Void Staff, whereas we did see the Victor picked his up already. Now Republic has his, can shred through the magic resistance provided by the frontline carries of Newbee. V's not going to be too happy with that. His Spirit Surge going to get chunked down a little bit. Mortal Reminder, like we mentioned, on Graves, going to stop the healing coming out from the Swain as well. But still, Game Talents just opting to try and siege this one out. Elder Dragon has now finally spawned, and Game Talents immediately disappear in towards the Fog of War. Going to be able to take the blue buff away. Turning that one over towards Republic.
Ping is going down to this inhibitor. If they can control the top lane inhibitor, that is going to be a pressure point across map from an Elder Dragon. Make that objective much easier to secure in the future.
And they're getting a lot of damage down onto this inhibitor without any contest coming in from Newbee. They take it down. Swift desperately trying to look for a flank with V trying to run away. The sapling going to be able to slow down the Swain, but that's about it. Swift still going for a flank, wrapping around quite nicely. And Game Talents, they turn around. They've been choked in here. This is definitely going to be a fight. Newbee definitely want to try and look for it as Swift. He's going to get the tag on towards Gimgoo. Gets sped up by the Kamo immediately. He's still going around. They're not letting them out of their sights just yet.
It's because they know that,
Temper Fate lands as a Republic, going to lock him down. Gimgoo now trying to save his Azir. Ultimate actually going to come out, just knocks V backwards. Swift now caught in the back lines. He gets obliterated by the Game Talents lineup. Wu Shuang now diving on forward. They're looking for the carries. Happy takes some damage. V is now the frontliner trying to soak up the damage coming in from Game Talents. But they find the pick they were looking for and stop the flanks coming in.
And Newbee are now on full retreat, but they're being chased by Savoki here.
Savoki looking to try and get a slowdown. Speed jumps back in towards the fight. He gets obliterated. Savoki will trade his life for the mid lane on the side of Newbee. And a magical journey will get them to safety one more time. But Gimgoo, he's returned. He's got the teleport. The twisted advance should be coming in. No, it's too slow. Got slowed down quite nicely by the Ezreal. Will not be able to get the advance he was looking for.
So the reason why Newbee were going so hard at Game Talents is because they know by losing that inhibitor that eventually that's going to become a pressure point that will mean the Elder Drake down the road. They saw this as their small window of opportunity to fight back. Unfortunately, overcommitting, overreaching, it burns them huge. They lose their picks, they lose their mid inhib tower, and they may lose the Elder Dragon anyway.
Baron has respawned as well, so there's another big objective on the map for both Newbee and Game Talents. V is still down for 50 seconds, but take us through this, Froskurin.
The reason why this doesn't go well is because of how far they stretch out and separate this fight. So Republic now has completely separated Swift from the rest of his team with that Emperor's Divide, which means that it's immediately a 4v5 because Swift goes ham anyway. This is our biggest criticism of this all-star jungler, is that he's going to play the exact same way as behind as he is ahead. And when he's ahead, it looks great. But when he's behind, it's so punishing.
Certainly is. And Game Talents were able to punish him quite heavily there. As they're trying to clear out the wards towards the Elder Dragon Pit, they want to try and take that objective down. Like we mentioned earlier, Baron is up and available too. So the two major objectives at 35 minutes on Summoner's Rift are up and online at the moment. Kill score is 9-9 for both these teams, but the big difference is 3 dragons, 4 Game Talents, and they have 4 turrets more than Newbee at the moment.
The other big issue as we're looking at the Elder Dragon is simply the fact that Wu Shuang has a stronger smite than Swift. Yes, you've got the execute ability with Lee Sin, but still going to be very hard to smite this one out from underneath him.
And they're going to try and start it here. Wu Shuang tags it, pulls it out of the pit however far he can. Gimgoo now wants to be one to tank it up.
V is looking for the flanking teleport play, resetting position. There it goes.
They're going to try and go for that flank. Swift now jumps in towards the pit. The Dragon is at about 5,000 health. Good ultimate comes out, locks down Savoki and Gimgoo, but they're the front line and the support here, not the targets you're looking for. Gimgoo still takes a lot of damage as Pentakill sprays the culling out, trying to get some damage onto V, who pops the zone. Is going to be able to heal back up. Gimgoo, he's going to get taken down. Guardian's Angel going to get popped. Wu Shuang's too low to jump over the back over the wall. Pentakill
look at
trying
Azir.
to take down Swift. As Azir, he's trying to do something, but he's going to go to the base and try and take down the base. They have to stop the pause. Wu Shuang trying to sacrifice his life, jumps on top of Dade, might be able to take him down, but Azir, he's going to be able to close out this game. Newbee, they can do whatever they want in this team fight, but the Birdman and the backlines is going to be able to end the game here against Newbee.
What a ridiculous play from Republic. Again, this Azir took teleport, something you don't really expect on the Golden Chicken, and he uses it in the last team fight to TP out of the fight and to backdoor Newbee's Nexus for the victory.
What an amazing play coming from Newbee there, because, Game Talent, sorry. Because, they were looking good most of that game. They were getting the picks they were looking for. They were finding the fights they wanted to take against Newbee. But to close it out, that was a 5-on-5 team fight. Newbee looked good throughout that entire fight, but the teleport play was pretty impressive.
No, it's time to do some reevaluation on Game Talents. Again, this is a roster that is the Frankenstein hybrid of Energy, Pacemaker All, and Masters 3, as we can see the highlights on your screen. These are effectively 2 bottom-tier LPL teams that were smashed together to make an undefeated Week 1 2016 Summer Split team. And people are saying, you know, the teams that they beat, it was Saint, it was Snake, bottom tier teams. This may just mean that Snake's not as strong as we once thought they were. You know, game talents, they haven't been tested yet. They come into game 1 against Newbee, an elite LPL team, and they just frankly outplay them at pretty much every point in the game.
They certainly did, and Newbee, they looked impressive in a couple of team fights. This was one. Swift getting this engage off was rather impressive there at the start of the fight that they won, but it costed them an inhibitor doing just that.
But they keep their cool. That's the #1 difference between Game Talents and Newbee. Yes, Game Talents individually, pound for pound, they do not have the talent on that roster that someone like Newbee does. The fact that Swift can make a play like that is amazing. Lee Sin finds an engagement on Karma, on Azir, on Ezreal, or excuse me, on Lucian, all these high mobility, very safe champions as someone who doesn't have like a consistent form of hard CC. But for Game Talents to have the cool to say, it's fine, we lost this team fight, Gim Goon, keep going, expose the inhibitor. Now that the inhib is exposed and we've had control of the dragon the entire game, we can use this pressure point to balance the Elder Dragon. It's this late game macro decision making that beat Newbee out, and that's impressive from a baby team.
Well, we saw Republic pick off a very nice backdoor with his Azir there in that game, but we're going to go into a quick break and we'll be back with game number 2 in just a bit.